The bridge of the TCS Indomitable was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Admiral Sarah Chen stood with her hands behind her back, looking out at the stars through the main screen. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her uniform was perfectly clean. She had been in space for 30 years, but she still loved watching the stars. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Martinez from his station. "We're getting a transmission. It's on all frequencies. Very strong signal." Sarah turned around, put it on the main screen. The stars disappeared. In their place appeared a creature that looked like a giant lizard wearing golden armor. Its eyes were yellow and cold. Behind it, Sarah could see a massive ship with strange writing on the walls. "I am Emperor Vexithara of the Zephyrian Galactic Empire," the creature said. Its voice was deep and threatening. "We have conquered 847 star systems. We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Now we turn our attention to your small corner of space." Sarah's crew watched in silence. The alien emperor continued speaking. "Your species calls itself human. You live in 12 star systems. You have been hiding from the rest of the galaxy for too long. This ends now." The emperor moved closer to the camera. Sarah could see sharp teeth when it spoke. "We offer you a choice that we have given to 43 other species. Submit to the Zephyrian Empire now, and your people will live as our servants. You will work for us. You will give us your resources. You will obey our laws. In return, we will let your children grow up." Sarah felt her hands form fists, but she kept her face calm. "If you refuse," the emperor said, "we will take your worlds by force. We will destroy your cities. We will scatter your people across the galaxy as slaves. Your choice is simple. Bow down now, or watch your species die." The screen showed space outside the alien ship. Sarah and her crew could see the Zephyrian fleet. Ships stretched as far as they could see. Thousands and thousands of warships, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built. The ships were dark metal with glowing blue engines. They looked like they could destroy planets. "You have 7 of your days to decide," the emperor said, appearing on screen again. "We know your species counts time differently than we do. 7 rotations of your home world. After that, we begin the destruction of your colonies." The emperor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Do not think about running. We have surrounded your space. Do not think about hiding. We can track every ship you have. Do not think about fighting. We have studied your technology. Your weapons cannot hurt our ships. Your shields cannot stop our guns." The transmission ended. The stars came back on the screen, but now they looked different. Out there, hidden in the darkness, 50,000 alien warships waited for humanity's answer. The bridge was completely quiet for a long moment. Sarah looked at her crew. There was Martinez at communications, barely 25 years old. There was Commander Thompson at weapons, a veteran of the Mars Defense Fleet. There was Dr. Kim at the science station, the smartest person Sarah had ever met. There was Engineering Chief Rodriguez, who could fix anything that broke. These were good people, brave people. They had joined the Terran Confederation Navy to protect humanity. Now they faced an enemy that claimed to rule the entire galaxy. Sarah waited to see fear in their eyes. She waited for someone to panic. She waited for the normal human reaction to learning that death was coming for everyone they loved. Instead, something else happened. Martinez started to smile. It was small at first, just the corners of his mouth moving up. Then Commander Thompson smiled too. Dr. Kim pushed her glasses up and smiled. Chief Rodriguez grinned like someone had just told him a funny joke. Sarah felt her own face changing. She tried to stop it, but she couldn't. She started to smile too. "Admiral," said Martinez, still smiling, "should I send a reply to the Emperor?" Sarah's smile grew bigger. "Not yet, Lieutenant. First, I want to talk to Earth Command." She walked to her captain's chair and sat down. Her smile never went away. "Dr. Kim," she said, "please run a scan of the alien fleet. I want to know everything about their ships." "Yes, Admiral," Dr. Kim said. She was still smiling as she worked at her station. "Admiral, their ships are using energy shields and plasma weapons. Standard galactic technology, according to our files. Excellent, Sarah said. Commander Thompson, please send a message to all fleet commanders. Tell them we have visitors. Right away, Admiral, Thompson said. He was grinning now. Should I include the activation codes? All of them, Sarah said. It's time. Our guests learned what human hospitality really means. Chief Rodriguez was laughing quietly at his station. Admiral, should I power up the special systems? Not yet, Chief. We don't want to be rude to our guests. Let them think they're in charge for a few more days. The crew was working with smooth efficiency, but everyone was still smiling. Sarah had seen this look before, during the asteroid belt war and the Jupiter colony crisis. It was the look humans got when someone threatened their family. Dr. Kim looked up from her station. Admiral, I'm detecting quantum communication signals from the alien fleet. They're talking to someone very far away. Of course they are, Sarah said. They're calling home to tell everyone how scary they are. Let them talk. She stood up and walked to the main screen. Out there in the darkness, the Zephyrian Empire waited for humanity to surrender. They thought they knew everything about humans. From watching their public communications and trade signals. They were wrong. The aliens had seen humanity's merchant ships and scientific vessels. They had seen the small patrol boats that guarded the outer colonies. They had counted the ships in Earth's home fleet. They had measured humanity's weapons and judged them weak. But they had never seen what humans built in secret. They had never seen the shipyards hidden inside asteroids. They had never seen the weapons platforms disguised as communication satellites. They had never seen what humans could do when someone threatened their children. Sarah touched her communication device. This is Admiral Chen to all fleet commanders. Begin Phase 1 of First Contact Protocol. Repeat, Phase 1 is now active. Across human space, orders went out to ships the aliens had never detected. In hidden bases throughout the solar system, crews began final preparations for systems the Zephyrians didn't know existed. On Earth, the Terran Council met an emergency session, but they weren't discussing surrender. Sarah looked at the stars again. Somewhere out there, Emperor Vexithera was probably celebrating. He thought he had found another weak species to crush. Admiral, said Martinez, Earth Command is asking about the Emperor's ultimatum. Sarah's smile grew even bigger. Tell them the Emperor was very polite. Tell them we appreciate the warning. Tell them we'll send our reply in 7 days, just like he asked. She sat back down in her chair. Oh, and Martinez? Make sure to thank the Emperor for giving us time to prepare. That was very considerate of him. The crew laughed softly. Outside, 50,000 alien warships waited for humanity to surrender. They were going to be very surprised. High Commander Zektar stood in the command center of the Zephyrian flagship Dark Conquest. The room was filled with holographic displays showing human space. Red dots marked human colonies. Blue lines showed their trade routes. Everything looked perfectly organized for conquest. Report, Zektar commanded. His voice echoed through the metal halls of the ship. Intelligence Officer Mordak stepped forward. Like all Zephyrians, he was tall and covered in dark scales. His yellow eyes glowed in the dim light of the command center. High Commander, we have been monitoring human communications for 6 days. The humans are panicking, just as expected. Show me, Zektar said. The main hologram changed to show intercepted human messages. Zektar watched with satisfaction as the recordings played. Emergency evacuation of Proxima Colony approved, said a human voice. All civilian transports to depart within 48 hours. Defense Fleet Command to all vessels, said another voice. Report to Rally Point Delta. This is not a drill. Mars Industrial Complex requesting immediate assistance, said a third voice. We need more time to evacuate personnel. Zektar's mouth opened in what humans would recognize as a smile, but with many more teeth. Perfect, he said. The humans are running like frightened animals. What about their military response? Mordak touched a control. New information appeared on the displays. Their fleet movements are exactly what our computers predicted. They are gathering ships from all their colonies. Our count shows approximately 8,000 vessels. 8,000? Zektar laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. We brought 50,000 ships to conquer them. This will be the shortest war in galactic history. War Master Thexalon approached the command table. She was older than the others, with scars across her scales from 100 battles. "High Commander," she said, "I have reviewed their ship designs. Their technology is primitive. Kinetic weapons instead of plasma, cannons, metal armor instead of energy shields. They fight like savages." Zektar studied the holographic images of human ships. They looked crude and simple compared to Zephyrian vessels. Where Zephyrian ships were smooth and elegant, human ships were covered in sharp angles and ugly weapon mounts. "Pathetic," Zektar said. "Their biggest ship is smaller than our destroyers. How did they ever reach the stars with such backward technology?" "Luck, High Commander," said Mordak. "They found a few habitable worlds close to their home system. They never had to fight for survival like proper species." On the screens around them, more human communications played. Military officers argued about defensive positions. Civilian leaders begged for more evacuation ships. Scientists transmitted desperate research data. But on the human ship Indomitable, Admiral Sarah Chen was reading very different reports. "Status report, Dr. Kim," Sarah said. Dr. Kim looked up from her science station with a small smile. "Phase 1 is complete, Admiral. All outer colonies show successful evacuations. The Zephyrians are tracking exactly what we want them to track." "Excellent. Commander Thompson, how are our weapon platforms?" Thompson grinned. "All 500 asteroid bases report ready, Admiral. The Zephyrians think they're looking at mining stations and communication relays." Chief Rodriguez, status of the hidden shipyards. "All operational, Admiral," Rodriguez said. "The yards inside the Jupiter moons are producing on schedule. The aliens still think those are just research stations." Sarah walked to the main screen. It showed human space exactly as the Zephyrians saw it. 12 star systems, a few dozen planets. 8,000 ships gathered in obvious defensive positions. It was all a lie. The evacuations were actually the final deployment of weapon systems that had been disguised as civilian equipment for decades. The mining stations in the asteroid belt were massive military bases with enough firepower to destroy fleets. The research facilities around Jupiter were shipyards that had been building warships in secret for 20 years. And those 8,000 ships the Zephyrians had counted, they were the old, outdated vessels that humanity wanted the aliens to see. The real fleet was 10 times larger and hidden throughout the solar system using stealth technology the aliens didn't know existed. "Lieutenant Martinez," Sarah said, "send another panicked message to Mars Command. Make sure the Zephyrians intercept it." Martinez nodded. "Should I include more requests for evacuation ships?" "Yes, and make sure to sound very worried about our primitive weapons. We don't want them to get suspicious." Martinez began typing. On Zephyrian ships throughout the system, intelligence officers recorded every word, never knowing they were hearing exactly what humans wanted them to hear. Back on the Dark Conquest, Zektar was reviewing battle plans with his commanders. "The humans have positioned their main fleet here," he said, pointing to a hologram. 8,000 ships in a defensive formation around their home world. "A classic mistake," said War Master Thexalon. "They're trying to protect everything and will end up protecting nothing." "Indeed," Zektar agreed. "We will divide our forces. 20,000 ships will attack their outer colonies. 20,000 more will engage their main fleet. The remaining 10,000 will serve as reserves." "High Commander," asked a junior officer, "what if the humans have hidden forces we haven't detected?" The command center fell silent. Then Zektar began laughing. His officers joined in, filling the room with harsh, grinding sounds. "Hidden forces?" Zektar said when he could speak again. "Look at their technology. Look at their ships. These creatures can barely reach their own moon. What could they possibly hide from us?" The laughter continued. None of the Zephyrians noticed that their perfect intelligence about human forces came entirely from communications they had intercepted. None of them questioned why it was so easy to spy on human military channels. None of them wondered why humans would discuss secret battle plans on unencrypted frequencies. On the Indomitable, Admiral Chen received a final report from Earth Command. "All Phase 2 systems are online, Admiral," reported Dr. Kim. "The Zephyrians' own sensor data confirms they've detected exactly what we wanted them to detect." "Phase 3? Sarah asked. "Ready and waiting," said Commander Thompson. "All stealth ships are in position. All hidden bases are armed and operational. All special weapon systems are powered up and waiting for your command." Sarah nodded. She looked at the tactical display that showed the real situation. Not 8,000 human ships, but 80,000. Not 12 defended systems, but dozens of hidden military installations. Not primitive technology, but weapons designed specifically to counter everything the Zephyrians would bring to the fight. "Admiral," said Martinez, "the aliens are sending another transmission. Should I put it on screen?" "Please do." Emperor Vexithara appeared on the screen again. He looked just as arrogant as before. "Humans," he said, "your time is almost up. We have watched your pathetic preparations. We have seen your weak ships and primitive weapons. Tomorrow, we will show you the power of the Zephyrian Empire." The Emperor leaned closer to the camera. "Your resistance will be crushed in hours. Your colonies will burn. Your people will serve us forever. This is your final chance to surrender." The transmission ended. Sarah's crew looked at her expectantly. Sarah smiled that same calm smile she had worn for 6 days. "Martinez," she said, "please send a reply to the Emperor." "What should it say, Admiral?" Sarah thought for a moment. "Tell His Imperial Majesty that we appreciate his patience. Tell him we look forward to meeting his fleet tomorrow. Tell him we hope he enjoys our hospitality." The message was sent. On Zephyrian ships throughout the system, intelligence officers recorded it and added it to their files about human panic and desperation. They had no idea that tomorrow they would learn the difference between what humans say and what humans do. The Zephyrian fleet moved through space like a dark storm cloud. 50,000 warships advanced in perfect formation toward the human defensive line. Their hulls gleamed with the blue light of energy shields, plasma cannons charged with deadly power. High Commander Zektar stood on the bridge of the Dark Conquest, watching the tactical displays with satisfaction. The human fleet waited ahead, just as his intelligence reports had predicted. 8,000 small ships arranged in a desperate defensive formation. "Distance to enemy fleet?" Zektar asked. 2 million kilometers and closing, High Commander, replied his navigation officer. "Weapon range in 15 minutes, added War. Master Thexelon." Zektar nodded. "Signal the fleet. All ships prepare for battle. This will be quick." On human ships throughout the system, very different conversations were taking place. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair aboard the Indomitable. Around her, the bridge crew worked with calm efficiency. No one looked worried. Everyone wore that same quiet smile they had shown for the past 7 days. "Admiral," reported Dr. Kim, "Zephyrian fleet is approaching maximum effective range." "Thank you, Doctor. Commander Thompson, status of all weapons systems." Thompson checked his displays. "All conventional weapons loaded and ready, Admiral. Kinetic launchers are fully charged. Railguns are operational." "Excellent. Chief Rodriguez, how are our special systems?" Rodriguez grinned. "All Phase 3 systems are standing by, Admiral. Just waiting for your word." Sarah nodded. She touched her communication device. "This is Admiral Chen to all fleet units. Execute standard defensive plan. Repeat, standard defensive plan only. Do not, I repeat, do not activate special systems until ordered." Across the human fleet, 8,000 ships acknowledged the order. They moved into traditional battle formation, just as the Zephyrians expected. But throughout the solar system, other forces watched and waited. In asteroid belts, massive weapon platforms powered up their systems. Near Jupiter, hidden shipyards opened their doors. Around Mars, stealth ships dropped their camouflage. The real human fleet was about to reveal itself. "Enemy fleet in weapon range," announced the Zephyrian tactical officer. "All ships," commanded Zektar, "open fire." The space between the fleets filled with blue plasma bolts. Thousands of energy weapons fired at once, creating a deadly light show against the darkness of space. The plasma struck human ships, and explosions bloomed like bright flowers. "Direct hits on multiple targets," reported the Zephyrian weapons officer. "Enemy ships are taking heavy damage." Zektar watched with satisfaction as human vessels exploded or drifted powerless through space. "Their shields can't stop our weapons. This is even easier than I expected." The human fleet fired back. Kinetic projectiles and crude missiles flew toward the Zephyrian ships. Most of them struck the aliens' energy shields and bounced off harmlessly. A few got through and caused minor damage to the massive Zephyrian vessels. "Pathetic," laughed War Master Thexlon. "Their weapons can barely scratch our paint." The battle continued for 20 minutes. More human ships exploded under Zephyrian fire. The human formation began to break apart as vessels tried to escape the plasma barrage. "Enemy fleet is collapsing," reported the tactical officer. "They're trying to retreat." Zektar felt the satisfaction of victory. "Pursue them. Don't let any escape." But on the Indomitable, Admiral Chen was having a very different conversation. "Dr. Kim," she said quietly, "are the Zephyrians fully committed to the attack?" Dr. Kim checked her sensors. "Yes, Admiral, all 50,000 ships are engaged. They've moved into close formation to maximize their firepower." "Perfect. Commander Thompson, have we lost enough ships to make this convincing?" Thompson smiled grimly. 2,000 vessels destroyed or disabled, Admiral, all according to plan." Sarah nodded. Every ship they had lost contained volunteers who knew this day would come. They had given their lives to make the deception perfect. "Chief Rodriguez," Sarah said, her voice carrying clearly across the bridge, "execute first contact protocol." Rodriguez's grin became enormous. "Yes, Admiral. All stations, this is the Chief. Authorization Alpha 77. First contact protocol is now active." Across human space, everything changed. The debris from destroyed human ships suddenly came to life. What the Zephyrians had thought were chunks of metal and floating wreckage revealed themselves as camouflaged drone fighters. Thousands of them swarmed toward the alien fleet. The mining stations in the asteroid belt dropped their disguises. Massive weapon platforms, each one larger than a Zephyrian battleship, opened fire with kinetic weapons moving at 30% of light speed. Around Jupiter, the doors of hidden shipyards opened completely. Not hundreds of ships emerged, but thousands. New vessels with hull designs the Zephyrians had never seen. Ships built specifically to fight enemies with energy shields and plasma weapons. Near Mars, the space itself seemed to tear open as stealth ships dropped their cloaking. An entire second fleet, invisible until this moment, appeared on Zephyrian sensors. "What is happening?" shouted Zektar as his displays filled with new contacts. "Where did all these ships come from?" "High Commander," his tactical officer said with panic in his voice. "We're detecting massive weapon signatures throughout the system, energy readings unlike anything in our databases." The first kinetic strikes reached the Zephyrian fleet. The AOE projectiles moved too fast for plasma weapons to intercept. They punched through energy shields like they weren't there and tore through alien hulls with devastating force. "Impossible!" screamed War Master Thexlon. "Their weapons are primitive. They can't penetrate our shields." "High Commander," reported the science officer, "these aren't the same weapons they were using before. These projectiles are moving at significant fractions of light speed. Our shields aren't designed to stop solid matter at these velocities." More strikes hit the Zephyrian fleet. Ships that had survived 1,000 battles across the galaxy died in seconds as human kinetic weapons tore them apart. Admiral Chen stood up from her command chair. The battle was no longer one-sided. "Dr. Kim," she said, "please open a communication channel to the Zephyrian flagship." "Channel open, Admiral." Sarah's image appeared on the bridge of the dark. "Conquest." Zektar stared at her in shock and rage. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Confederation Navy," she said calmly. I wanted to personally thank Emperor Vexathera for his patience. 7 days was exactly the time we needed to complete our preparations. This is impossible, Zektar snarled. You only had 8,000 ships. Sarah smiled. You saw 8,000 ships, Commander. You saw exactly what we wanted you to see. Around the Zephyrian fleet, more human vessels appeared from hidden positions. The alien formation, designed to maximize firepower against a smaller enemy, became a trap as human ships attacked from all directions. You studied our technology, Sarah continued, but you only studied what we allowed you to study. You monitored our communications, but you only heard what we wanted you to hear. Kinetic projectiles continued to hammer the Zephyrian fleet. Ships that had terrorized dozens of worlds were reduced to spinning wreckage. Impossible, Zektar repeated. Your species is primitive, weak. You couldn't have built all this. Sarah's smile grew wider. You're right about one thing, Commander. We are different from other species you've conquered. We spent centuries fighting wars against ourselves. We learned to be very, very good at killing things that threatened us. Explosions bloomed throughout the Zephyrian formation as more ships died. You wanted to know about human nature, Sarah said. Here's lesson number 1. We don't surrender. We don't run, we don't give up, ever. Zektar tried to respond, but his ship shook as human weapons found their target. And here's lesson number 2, Sarah continued. When you threaten our children, we don't get scared, we get creative. The transmission ended. Around the remains of the Zephyrian fleet, human ships closed in for the final phase of the battle. The galaxy's mighty conquerors were about to learn what humans meant by hospitality. High Commander Zektar's flagship shook violently as another human kinetic projectile tore through its hull. Emergency lights bathed the bridge in red, and the smell of burning electronics filled the air. Damage report, Zektar shouted over the noise of alarms. 17 decks breached, High Commander, his engineering officer replied with panic in his voice. Shield generators are offline. Main weapons are at 30% power. Zektar looked at the tactical display and felt something he had never experienced in 300 years of warfare. Fear. The Zephyrian fleet, which had started the battle with 50,000 ships, was down to less than 30,000. Human vessels swarmed around them like angry insects, striking from every direction with weapons that cut through Zephyrian defenses like they were made of paper. How is this possible? War Master Thexelon demanded. She was bleeding green blood from a head wound where she had been thrown against a control panel. Their technology was primitive. Communications. Send a distress signal to the home fleet, Zektar ordered. Maximum priority. Tell High Command we need immediate reinforcement. The communications officer worked frantically at his station. After a few moments, he looked up with terror in his yellow eyes. High Commander, I can't get through. Something is blocking our quantum communication array. What do you mean, blocking? Zektar snarled. The signal is being jammed, sir. I've never seen anything like it. It's like they're disrupting quantum space itself. On the human flagship Indomitable, Dr. Kim monitored the alien communications attempts with satisfaction. Admiral, she reported to Sarah Chen, the Zephyrians are trying to call for help. Our quantum jamming systems are working perfectly. No signals are getting through to their home territory. Admiral Chen nodded. She stood at the center of the bridge, watching the battle displays with calm professionalism. Around her, the crew worked with the smooth efficiency of people who had planned for this moment their entire careers. Excellent, Doctor. Commander. Thompson, status of the fleet? Thompson smiled grimly. We've lost 4,000 ships, Admiral, but that includes the vessels we sacrificed in the opening phase. Total enemy casualties are at 23,000 and climbing. Chief Rodriguez, how are our special weapon systems performing? Rodriguez was practically glowing with pride. Better than expected, Admiral. The kinetic kill vehicles are punching through their shields like they don't exist. Our stealth drones are causing massive confusion in their formations. Sarah nodded and touched her communication device. This is Admiral Chen to all fleet commanders. Begin Phase 4 operations. It's time to show our guests the rest of human hospitality. Across human space, New orders went out. Ships that had been hiding in the outer system began their final approach. Weapon platforms that had remained silent powered up their most devastating systems. And deep in the asteroid belt, the largest human weapons began to charge. Back on the Zephyrian flagship, panic was spreading through the crew. "High Commander," the sensor officer called out. "I'm detecting new ships approaching from the outer system. Massive energy signatures." "How many ships?" Zektar demanded. I can't get an accurate count, sir. They're using some kind of stealth technology that interferes with our sensors, but the energy readings suggest thousands of vessels." War Master Thexelon stared at the displays in disbelief. "This is impossible. Our intelligence reports showed only 8,000 human ships in their entire fleet." "Your intelligence reports were wrong," came a familiar voice. Everyone on the Zephyrian bridge turned to see Admiral Chen's image on their main screen. She had opened a communication channel again. "You're probably wondering how we fooled your sensors," Sarah said conversationally. "It's actually quite simple. We've been studying your technology for over 200 years. Zektar found his voice. "That's impossible. Humanity has only been in space for 300 years. You couldn't have known about us." Sarah smiled. "Oh, but we did. Your empire is loud, Commander. Your ships broadcast quantum signatures across half the galaxy. Your communication networks leak data like broken pipes. We've been listening to you for centuries." Another explosion rocked the Zephyrian flagship as human weapons found their mark. "Every time you conquered a new species," Sarah continued, "we learned from their final transmissions. Every time you destroyed a civilization, we studied the sensor data. We know everything about your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses." On the tactical displays, the Zephyrian fleet continued to shrink. Ships that had terrorized countless worlds were being systematically destroyed by an enemy they had underestimated. "But you want to know the real secret?" Sarah asked. "The thing that makes humans different from all those other species you conquered?" Zektar said nothing, but Sarah could see the rage and fear in his yellow eyes. "We don't just fight to survive," she said. "We fight to win. And when someone threatens our families, we don't just want to defeat them. We want to make sure they never threaten anyone ever again." The space around the Zephyrian fleet filled with new human vessels. Ships with hull designs that looked nothing like the crude vessels the aliens had faced before. These were sleek, deadly, and clearly built for one purpose: killing Zephyrians. "You see, Commander," Sarah continued, "while you were building an empire, we were building a trap. While you were conquering peaceful species, we were preparing for war. While you were getting fat and lazy on easy victories, we were learning to fight enemies who could fight back." A massive human dreadnought appeared on the Zephyrian sensors. It was easily 3 times the size of their largest battleship, and its hull bristled with weapon systems the aliens didn't recognize. "That's the TCS Retribution," Sarah said, noticing where Zektar was looking. "We built her specifically to kill ships like yours. Her main guns fire projectiles at 60% of light speed. Her armor is designed to absorb plasma weapons. Her shields can deflect any energy beam your ships can produce." The Retribution fired. The projectile was invisible to the naked eye, but its impact on a Zephyrian battleship was spectacular. The alien vessel simply came apart, its hull shredded by the kinetic impact. "You wanted to know about human nature," Sarah said. "Here's the lesson. We're the species that looked at death itself and decided to make it our pet. We're the creatures that turned our own world from a paradise into a training ground for war. We're the ones who spent 1,000 years learning every possible way to kill our enemies." More human ships appeared from stealth positions. The Zephyrian fleet, once proud and mighty, was now completely surrounded. "And here's the most important lesson," Sarah continued. "We don't just learn from our mistakes. We learn from everyone else's mistakes too. Every species you destroyed taught us something about how to fight you." Zektar finally found his voice again. "What do you want from us?" he demanded. Sarah's smile disappeared. Her voice became cold and hard. "What do we want? We want you to understand something very clearly. Humanity tried to stay hidden from the galaxy. We tried to avoid contact with species like yours. We wanted to be left alone. The human fleet closed in around the remaining Zephyrian ships like the jaws of a trap. But you found us anyway, Sarah said. You came to our space. You threatened our people. You gave us a choice between surrender and war. Another Zephyrian ship exploded under human fire. So we chose war, Sarah continued, but not the kind of war you're used to fighting. Not a war against primitives with inferior technology. Not a war against peaceful species who never learned to fight. This is a war against humans, Commander. Zektar looked around his bridge. His crew stared at the displays in terror as human ships continued their methodical destruction of the Zephyrian fleet. And humans, Sarah said, her voice carrying across the void of space, don't lose wars. The transmission ended, leaving the Zephyrians alone with the terrible reality of their situation. The mighty galactic empire that had conquered 847 star systems was being destroyed by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Outside the bridge windows, human ships moved through space with deadly purpose, teaching the galaxy a lesson about the nature of humanity. 6 months after the battle that destroyed the Zephyrian invasion fleet, the galaxy watched in stunned silence as the impossible continued to happen. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, ruler of 847 star systems for 3,000 years, was falling apart. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Sarah Chen studied reports from across Zephyrian space. Every day brought news of another victory, another liberated world, another piece of the Empire crumbling under human assault. Status report, Dr. Kim, Sarah said. Dr. Kim looked up from her science station with a satisfied smile. Admiral, Fleet Group 7 has successfully liberated the Kepler colonies. Fleet Group 12 has broken the siege of the Vegan worlds. And Fleet Group 3 reports that the Zephyrian stronghold at Wolf 359 has surrendered. Casualties? Sarah asked. Minimal on our side, Admiral. The Zephyrians still haven't figured out how to counter our technology. Most of their remaining fleets are surrendering rather than fight. Sarah nodded. She walked to the main screen, which showed a map of local galactic space. 6 months ago, most of this region had been colored the dark green of the Zephyrian Empire. Now, system after system glowed with the blue of human liberation forces. Commander Thompson, she said. Any word from the other galactic powers? Thompson checked his communications station. Yes, Admiral. The Altair Federation has requested a formal meeting. The Centauri Alliance wants to discuss a mutual defense pact. And the Rigel Consortium is asking about trade agreements. Sarah smiled. Interesting how friendly everyone becomes when they see what happens to bullies. She was right. Across the galaxy, the older civilizations were watching humanity's war against the Zephyrians with a mixture of awe and terror. Species that had submitted to Zephyrian rule centuries ago were seeing their oppressors defeated by newcomers who had been in space for barely 300 years. On the planet Altair Prime, the Federation Council met in emergency session. The humans have done the impossible, said Counselor Vexana, her blue skin pale with worry. They've broken the Zephyrian Empire in 6 months. 6 months. It took the Zephyrians 50 years to conquer half that much space. Their technology is beyond anything we've seen, added Counselor Mortex. Kinetic weapons that move at significant fractions of light speed, stealth systems that make ships completely invisible, quantum jammers that can block communication across entire star systems. The council chamber was filled with worried voices. The Altair Federation had survived by staying neutral in galactic conflicts, but neutrality seemed impossible when humans were rewriting the rules of warfare. What do we know about their intentions? Asked the council chairman. Are they planning to conquer us next? That's the strange part, said Intelligence Director Colron. Every world the humans have liberated, they've immediately granted independence. They're not building an empire, they're destroying one. Meanwhile, in the Centauri system, the Alliance military was having its own crisis meetings. Our entire defense strategy was based on the assumption that the Zephyrian Empire was unbeatable, said General Thokmar. If humans can defeat them this easily, what does that say about our own defenses? It says we need to be very polite. To the humans, replied Admiral Kestra, and hope they're as peaceful as their diplomatic messages claim. But the most interesting conversations were happening in systems that had never been conquered by anyone. Ancient civilizations that had watched younger species rise and fall for millions of years were suddenly paying attention to the small corner of space where humans lived. On the ancient world of Proxima Draconis, the eldest council convened for the first time in 10,000 years. The young species has done something unprecedented, said the first elder, her voice carrying the weight of millennia. They have not merely defeated a galactic empire, they have dismantled it piece by piece, liberated its subjects, and asked for nothing in return. Their combat methods are unusual, added the war elder. They fight with a precision and ruthlessness that suggests extensive study of their enemies, but they also show mercy to those who surrender and protection to those who cannot protect themselves. The eldest council had seen the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. They had watched species conquer the galaxy and rule it with iron fists. They had seen empires built on fear, greed, and the desire for power. But they had never seen anything like humanity. Back in human space, Admiral Chen was receiving reports that confirmed what the galaxy was beginning to realize. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Martinez, "we're getting surrender offers from Zephyrian governors throughout the Outer Rim. Some of them are offering to switch sides and fight against their own empire." "What about the Zephyrian homeworlds?" Sarah asked. "Completely cut off from the rest of their territory, Admiral. Our fleet groups have surrounded their core systems. No ships get in or out without our permission." Sarah considered this. The war was essentially over. The Zephyrian Empire's military was scattered or destroyed. Their communication networks were jammed. Their supply lines were cut. Their subject species were in rebellion. But Sarah knew the real war had never been about defeating the Zephyrians. The real war was about teaching the galaxy a lesson about what happened when someone threatened humanity. "Open a channel to all galactic civilizations," Sarah ordered. "All frequencies, all known communication methods." "Channel open, Admiral." Sarah stood in front of the main screen, knowing that her image was being broadcast to every inhabited world in local galactic space. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Confederation Navy," she began. 6 months ago, the Zephyrian Empire invaded human space. They demanded our surrender. They threatened to destroy our worlds and enslave our people." She paused, letting her words sink in across thousands of star systems. "Today, the Zephyrian Empire no longer exists as a military threat. Their fleets are destroyed or scattered. Their conquered territories are free. Their ability to wage war against innocent species has been permanently eliminated." The galaxy listened in absolute silence. "But we didn't fight this war for conquest," Sarah continued. "We fought it for a very simple reason. Because someone threatened our families, and there's something you need to understand about humans." Sarah's expression became serious, her voice carrying clearly across the void of space. "We don't start wars, but when someone else starts a war with us, we finish it, completely, permanently, and in a way that makes sure it never happens again." She walked closer to the camera. "The Zephyrian Empire thought they knew about humans. They thought we were weak because we stayed hidden. They thought we were primitive because our technology looked simple. They thought we were easy targets because we had never conquered anyone." Sarah smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. "They were wrong about all of it. We stayed hidden because we were preparing. Our technology looked simple because we wanted it to look that way. We never conquered anyone because we didn't need to prove how dangerous we were." The transmission reached every corner of known space. Ancient civilizations that had never paid attention to human space before were now listening to every word. "Until now," Sarah said. "Now you know what humans are capable of when someone threatens what we care about. Now you know what happens when someone mistakes our patience for weakness." She paused again, making sure her next words would be remembered. "But here's what you really need to know," Sarah continued. "We're not interested in ruling the galaxy. We're not interested in building an empire. We're not interested in forcing anyone to do anything they don't want to do. Her expression softened slightly. What we are interested in is peace. Real peace. The kind of peace where civilizations can grow and prosper without worrying about being conquered by bullies like the Zephyrians. Sarah looked directly into the camera, as if she could see every being in the galaxy who was listening. So here's our offer to the galaxy, she said. We will protect any species that wants protection. We will defend any world that asks for defense. We will stand between you and anyone who tries to do to you what the Zephyrians tried to do to us. The silence across the galaxy was absolute. Never before had a species offered protection to everyone, asking for nothing in return. But understand this clearly, Sarah added, her voice becoming hard again. We will also destroy anyone who threatens the innocent. Completely. Permanently. And in a way that serves as an example to others who might consider following their path. She stepped back from the camera. The choice is yours, Galaxy. You can have humans as friends, protecting and helping you grow in peace. Or you can have humans as enemies, and learn what the Zephyrians learned. Sarah smiled again. And this time it was genuinely warm. We really hope you choose friendship. Humans make much better friends than enemies. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, billions of beings sat in stunned silence as they realized that the balance of galactic power had just shifted forever. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Chen's crew looked at her with pride and admiration. Admiral, said Dr. Kim quietly, I think the galaxy is going to choose friendship. Sarah nodded, looking out at the stars. I hope so, Doctor. But if they don't, well... She smiled that same calm smile she had worn on the day the Zephyrians. The ship hummed as it moved through space. Staff Sergeant Alex Morgan stepped inside, his body tired from months of fighting. His uniform was dirty. His face showed cuts and bruises that were still healing. He had just finished his third tour, in the Centauri conflict, a war that had gone on for too long. Alex walked down the main passage of the transport ship, Starlight Voyager. This ship was special. It carried both humans and aliens together, something rare during these times of war. The air smelled different on this ship, a mix of human smells and the strange scents of 5 other alien species. Attention all passengers. We will reach Earth Station in 48 hours. Please find your assigned seats and prepare for jump. Sequence, said a voice over the speakers. Alex sighed. He just wanted to sit down. His leg hurt from an old wound, and he had been standing for hours during the boarding process. He looked at his ticket, seat 34C. He moved through the crowd, feeling the eyes of aliens on him. Humans were not popular these days. The war had made most alien species distrust them. Alex didn't care right now. He just needed to rest. The passenger area was large, but crowded. Humans sat mostly with other humans. Aliens grouped with their own kind. This was how things had been since the war started 10 years ago. Alex spotted his seat at last. It was at the end of a row, next to a window showing the blackness of space. Perfect. He could sleep against the window and not bother anyone. As he approached, he noticed a large figure standing nearby. It was a Dravian, one of the reptile-like aliens from the Dravis system. The Dravian stood 7 feet tall with green-brown scales covering its body. It wore the formal clothes of a diplomat. Alex tried to move past the alien to reach his seat, but the Dravian moved, blocking his way. Its yellow eyes narrowed. Excuse me, Alex said, too tired for a fight. That's my seat. The Dravian looked down at Alex. This seat is reserved, it said in a cold voice. The translator device on its neck made the words sound flat and unfriendly. Alex checked his ticket again. My ticket says 34C, that's this seat. The Dravian didn't move. I said, it is reserved. Its hand moved to something that looked like a weapon on its belt. People nearby began to notice. A human woman with a child moved away. An older man shook his head. Everyone knew that humans and Dravians hated each other. The war had started because of problems between Earth and Dravis. Alex was too tired for this. He had fought for months. He had seen friends die. He had killed enemies. And now he couldn't even sit in his assigned seat on a transport ship. "Look," Alex said, keeping his voice calm. "I don't want trouble. I just need to sit down. My leg is bad." He pointed to the old wound on his right leg, still wrapped in medical bandages. "Your wounds do not concern me, human," the Dravian said. Its voice seemed to get louder. "You will find another place." A ship officer, a young woman with the transport company's uniform, noticed the problem and walked over. "Is there an issue here?" she asked. Before Alex could answer, the Dravian spoke. "This human is disturbing me. I require this section for myself." The officer looked uncomfortable. "Sir, each passenger has an assigned seat. If Staff Sergeant Morgan has ticket 34C, then, do you know who I am?" The Dravian interrupted. "I am Keelvor, 3rd diplomatic rank of the Dravian High Council. I demand respect." The officer seemed unsure what to do. Arguments between humans and Dravians could become dangerous quickly. The ship had strict rules about fighting. Alex saw what was happening. The officer was scared. The other passengers were watching. This could turn into a big problem. Then he remembered something. He had seen this Dravian's face before but couldn't remember where. The name Keelvor sounded familiar. Alex reached into his pocket. His fingers touched a small piece of paper. 3 months ago, his commander had given him this note, telling him it might help someday. Alex hadn't understood then, but now, he pulled out the folded paper and quietly handed it to the Dravian. "Here," he said simply. "Read this. Then I'll go." The Dravian took the paper with a look of anger. It clearly expected something unimportant. But as Keelvor unfolded the note and saw what was inside, everything changed. The Dravian's yellow eyes widened. Its scaled hand began to shake. The anger in its face disappeared, replaced by shock. On the paper was a simple drawing, a circle with a line through it, and below, some numbers written in Dravian language. It was a symbol known only to a few, the mark of a secret group called the Shadow Rescuers, humans and aliens who helped civilians during the war. Keelvor looked at Alex again, seeing him differently now. You were on Neos Prime? During the attack?" Alex nodded once. He didn't say more. He didn't need to. 3 months ago, during the worst fighting on Neos Prime, Alex had led a small team behind enemy lines. Their mission, not approved by command, was to find and save a group of civilian children trapped in a school building, both human and Dravian children. Among those children had been a young Dravian named Salen, the child of a high-ranking diplomat. That diplomat had been Keelvor. The Dravian's voice changed completely, becoming softer. "You carried my child through the fire zones." Alex shrugged. "I carried several children. It was my job." "No," Keelvor said. "It was not your job. Your commanders ordered no rescue. You broke rules to save our children." The people watching didn't understand what was happening. Why was the angry Dravian suddenly speaking with respect to the human soldier? "My child lives because of you," Keelvor said. "I was told a human had helped, but they would not tell me who. I did not believe it was true." The Dravian stepped aside, no longer blocking the seat. But instead of letting Alex sit, Keelvor did, something that shocked everyone watching. The tall alien bowed low, a sign of highest respect in Dravian culture. "Please," Keelvor said, "take my seat instead. It is more comfortable for your injured leg. I insist." Alex didn't know what to say. A Dravian diplomat was bowing to him, a simple human soldier. This never happened. The other passengers stared in amazement. Something important was happening, though most didn't understand what. "Thank you," Alex said finally, "but I'll take my assigned seat. We both follow rules, right?" Keelvor straightened and nodded with new respect. "Indeed, rules matter. But sometimes breaking them for the right reasons matters more." As Alex sat down in seat 34C, he noticed the mood on the ship had changed. Humans and aliens who had been avoiding each other were now watching with curiosity. One small note had changed everything between two enemies. And perhaps it was just the beginning of a bigger change to come. Alex Morgan sat quietly in his seat looking out at the stars. He felt the eyes of the Dravian diplomat on him. It was strange to be so close to a Dravian without fighting. For years, humans and Dravians had been enemies. The ship moved smoothly, through space. Most passengers had settled down. Some slept. Others watched movies on small screens. But Keelvor, the Dravian diplomat, stood in the aisle, still staring at Alex. Finally, Keelvor spoke. "May I sit with you, human?" he asked. His voice was different now. The coldness was gone. Alex nodded to the empty seat next to him. He wasn't sure what to say. The large Dravian sat down carefully. The seat was small for his 7-foot frame. He still held the note in his hand, looking at it again and again. "My child speaks of you often," Keelvor said. "Salen calls you the human with kind eyes. I did not believe such a thing could exist." Alex smiled a little. "How is your child now?" "Salen heals well. The burns on the left side are almost gone. The nightmares happen less." Keelvor turned his yellow eyes to Alex. "But you know about nightmares, don't you, soldier?" Alex looked away. Yes, he knew about nightmares. Every soldier did. "Tell me what happened on Neos Prime," Keelvor said. "I want to hear from you, not from reports." Alex took a deep breath. He had tried not to think about that day too much, but now, sitting next to the father of one of the children he had saved, the memories came back clearly. "We got word that a school had been hit. Both human and Dravian children were inside. Command said no rescue teams could go. Too dangerous. But my squad, we couldn't just leave them." Keelvor listened without speaking. His scaled hands were folded tightly. "We went in against orders. 5 of us. The building was burning. We found 23 children alive in a basement room. 12 humans. 11 Dravians." Alex remembered. The faces of those children. The fear in their eyes. The way they had cried when they saw humans with guns. The Dravian children were afraid of us at first. They thought we came to hurt them. But there was one. A small one with a mark on her face. Alex pointed to his right cheek where Salen had a birthmark. "Yes," Keelvor said quietly. "That was my child. That one was brave. Told the others we were there to help. We had to. Move fast. The building was falling apart. Each of us carried children out. I took 4 at first, 2 human, 2 Dravian." Alex paused, remembering the weight of those small bodies, the heat of the flames around them. But when we got outside, we realized one was missing. The count was wrong. Your child told me another was still inside, hiding in a closet. I went back in. The ship's lights dimmed a little as it prepared for the jump to higher speed. The faces of the other passengers were now hard to see. It made it easier for Alex to continue his story. The upper floor was gone. Fire everywhere. I found the closet. Inside was your child, Salen, holding a smaller Dravian who was hurt badly. I picked them both up. But the way out was blocked now. Alex's voice grew quieter. We had to jump from a window, 3 floors up. I used my body to protect them when we landed. My leg broke in 2 places, but the children were safe. Keelvor's eyes seemed to shine more brightly in the dim light. Alex realized the Dravian was fighting back tears, something he didn't know Dravians could do. You carried my child and another through fire knowing it might mean your death, Keelvor said. Why? We were enemies. Alex shook his head. They were just kids, not enemies. For a long moment, neither spoke. The sounds of the ship filled the quay. Silence between them. Then Keelvor reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared above his hand. It showed a young Dravian child in what looked like a school uniform. The child was smiling, showing small, pointed teeth. On the right cheek was a dark mark in the shape of a half-moon. This is Salen now, Keelvor said. My child lives, studies, grows because of you. Alex smiled at the image. The child looked happy and healthy. It made all the pain worth it. After you saved the children, what happened to you? Keelvor asked. Military court. We broke orders. 2 of my team were sent home. 1 lost his rank. I was lucky. Just a warning. Then back to the front lines. Keelvor looked shocked. They punished you for saving children? Rules of war, Alex said with a shrug. We were supposed to wait for proper rescue teams. But those teams would have been too late. Yes, they would have been too late. The ship announced it was preparing for the jump to higher speed. All passengers should secure themselves. Keelvor adjusted his safety straps but continued to look at Alex with new eyes. In 3 days I will speak at the Earth-Dravian peace talks, the diplomat said. I was chosen because I lost family in the war, yet still support peace. They do not know my child was saved by a human. Alex wasn't sure what to say to this. He was just a soldier, not a diplomat. What will happen if I tell this story? Keelvor asked. If I show the other diplomats this note, tell them what you did? I don't know, Alex said honestly. I'm just a soldier. Politics isn't my area. Keelvor nodded slowly. Politics? Yes. They told us humans kill Dravian children. That you are monsters who cannot be trusted. That was why many supported the war. The ship's engines grew louder, preparing for the jump. But they were wrong, Keelvor continued. This note proves they were wrong, the jump alert sounded. All talking stopped as the ship prepared to enter faster than light travel. In that moment of silence, Alex saw Keelvor make a decision. The Dravian carefully folded the note and put it in an inside pocket, close to his heart. Staff Sergeant Alex Morgan, the Dravian said formally. Would you be willing to attend the peace talks with me? To tell your story to the diplomats from both sides? The ship jumped. Stars outside the window stretched into lines of light. Alex felt the familiar push against his body as the ship moved faster than light itself. It was a strange moment to be asked such a big question. Peace talks? Him? He was just a tired soldier who wanted to go home. But looking at the hopeful face of the alien beside him, a father whose child he had saved, Alex knew his answer mattered. Yes, he said simply. I'll go. He didn't know it then, but that single word would change the course of human and Dravian history forever. Earth looked blue and peaceful from the landing ship. Alex Morgan had seen his home planet from space before, but it always made him feel small. 2 days had passed since his talk with Keelvor. The rest of the journey had been quiet. Other passengers had noticed the human soldier and Dravian diplomat talking together. Some looked surprised. Others seemed angry. Humans and Dravians were not supposed to be friendly. Now the ship was preparing to land at Earth Central Station. From there, Alex would normally take a shuttle to the military base for debriefing. But today was different. Today he would go with Keelvor to the peace talks. Are you ready, human friend? Keelvor asked, standing beside Alex at the viewing window. Alex nodded. He wore his formal military uniform now. All his medals were on display. He had earned many during his years of service. I am not sure what will happen, Keelvor said quietly. My government does not know I will bring you. They may be angry. My commanders will be angry too, Alex said. I'm supposed to report to base, not attend peace talks. Keelvor made a sound that might have been a laugh. Then we are both breaking rules again. The ship landed smoothly. Passengers began to gather their things. Alex had only a small bag. A soldier learns to travel light. As they walked toward the exit, a ship officer approached them. Staff Sergeant Morgan, there are people waiting for you. Alex felt worried. Had his commanders found out about his plan? When they stepped off the ship, 6 people stood waiting. 3 were human military officers. 3 were Dravian officials. None looked happy. Staff Sergeant Morgan, said a human woman with the rank of colonel. You were supposed to report directly to base. Why are you here? Before Alex could answer, Keelvor stepped forward. The human is with me, by my request. One of the Dravians, wearing the symbols of a high official, spoke in an angry voice. Diplomat Keelvor, explain yourself. Why do you bring a human soldier to this place? Keelvor stood tall. This human has been invited to speak at the peace talks. I have requested his presence. The human colonel looked shocked. That is not possible. The peace talks are for diplomats only. Not for soldiers. I insist, Keelvor said. This human has something important to share. The officials from both sides began to argue. Alex stood quietly. He was used to following orders, not being in the middle of diplomatic problems. Then a new voice spoke. Let them come. Everyone turned. A human woman in a white diplomatic uniform walked toward them. She was older, with gray hair and a face that showed wisdom and experience. Alex recognized her from news reports. This was Carol Lynn, the lead human diplomat. Behind her came an older Dravian, moving slowly with the help of a walking stick. His scales were pale with age. This was Elder Zorketh, the head of the Dravian diplomatic team. What is this about? Elder Zorketh asked, looking from Keelvor to Alex with suspicious eyes. Keelvor bowed to the elder. I have found something that may help our talks, a story that both sides need to hear. Carol Lynn looked at Alex with curious eyes. And this soldier is part of that story? He is the story, Keelvor said. After more discussion, they agreed. Alex would be allowed to attend the opening of the peace talks. He would be given 5 minutes to speak. They rode in a large vehicle to the Earth Government Center, a tall building of glass and steel in what was once called New York City. Alex had never been inside before. Soldiers like him didn't go to such places. The peace talks were being held in a large round room. Humans sat on one side, Dravians on the other. A space in the middle separated them, like a no man's land. When Alex entered with Keelvor, everyone went quiet. It was strange to see so many Dravians in one place without fighting. Alex felt the weight of their stares. We will begin with an unexpected speaker, Carol Lynn announced. A human soldier, invited by diplomat Keelvor of the Dravian High Council. Alex walked to the center of the room. His leg hurt from the old wound, but he stood straight and tall. He was nervous. He could fight in battles, but speaking to important people was harder. My name is Staff Sergeant Alex Morgan, Terran Defense Force. 3 months ago, I was fighting on Neos Prime. He paused, looking at the faces watching him. But I'm not here to talk about fighting. I'm here to talk about saving. He told the story simply. The school building, the trapped children, the decision to go against orders, the rescue, the jump from the window. He left nothing out. When he finished, the room was silent. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object. After we saved the children, one of the Dravian kids gave me this, he said, holding up a small carved stone. She said, it was for good luck. I've carried it ever since. He walked across the room and held it out to Elder Zorketh. The old Dravian took it with shaking hands. This is a soul stone, the elder said, his voice filled with surprise. Given only to family, or to saviors, Keelvor stepped forward. The child who gave this stone was my child, Salen. This human saved Salen and 10 other Dravian children that day. Whispers filled the room. Many diplomats looked confused. Some looked angry. A human diplomat stood up. If this is true, why? Haven't we heard about it before? A story like this would have been in the news. A military officer in the back of the room answered. Because it was classified. The rescue broke direct orders. We didn't want to encourage other soldiers to do the same. A Dravian official spoke next. We also kept such stories quiet. Our people would not support the war if they knew humans were saving our children. More whispers, more confusion. Carol Lynn walked to the center of the room. Are there other stories like this? Other acts of help between our people that have been hidden? Slowly, a Dravian diplomat raised his hand. During the Battle of Echo Station, human medics treated our wounded. They did not have to do this. Then a human diplomat stood. After the flood on Colony 12, Dravian ships rescued 300 human families. We were told it was our own ships that saved them. One by one, more people spoke. More stories came out. Humans who had helped Dravians. Dravians who had helped humans. All hidden. All kept secret. Alex stood in the middle, watching, as the truth came out. It felt like a dam breaking, letting loose a flood of stories that had been held back for years. Keelvor moved to stand beside him. "This is why I brought you here," he said quietly. "One story can lead to many." By the end of that day, the peace talks had changed. The space in the middle of the room that had separated humans and Dravians was now filled with people from both sides, talking together, sharing stories that had been hidden for too long. Alex sat in a corner, watching it all happen. He was just one soldier with one story, but sometimes that's all it takes to start something bigger. And on his lap was a message from his commander. "Report to base immediately for disciplinary action." He smiled. Some things never changed. But maybe, after today, other things would never be the same. Alex Morgan sat in a small white room at the military base. He had been here for hours. After the peace talks, he had followed orders and reported for discipline. His commander was not happy that he had gone to the diplomatic meeting instead of coming straight to the base. The door opened and a tall man in a general's uniform walked in. Alex jumped to his feet and saluted. "At ease, Sergeant," the general said. His name tag read, General Carter. His face was stern. "Do you know why you're here?" "Yes, sir. I disobeyed orders to report directly to base, sir." General Carter sat down across from Alex. He placed a folder on the table between them. "That's one reason," he said. "But there's more. Your actions at the peace talks have caused problems." Alex stayed quiet. Soldiers learned when to speak and when to listen. "The story you told about saving those Dravian children on Neos Primes has spread. It's on all the news channels. People are asking questions." The general opened the folder. Questions like why we kept such stories secret. On the table, the general laid out pictures. They showed Alex and his team carrying children from the burning building on Neos Prime, both human and Dravian children. "We had our reasons for keeping these quiet," General Carter said. "The war effort needed support. Stories of enemy children being saved by our soldiers, it was bad for morale." "With respect, sir," Alex said, "isn't ending the war good for morale?" The general's face showed no emotion. "Politics isn't your concern, Sergeant." "No, sir, but those children were." General Carter looked at Alex for a long moment. Then he did something surprising. He smiled. "You remind me of myself when I was younger," he said. "Before I learned how complicated the world is." He closed the folder and stood up. "Wait here. Someone important wants to meet you." After the general left, Alex sat alone again. He wondered what would happen to him. At worst, he might lose his rank or be discharged from service. At best, maybe just some extra duties. 20 minutes later, the door opened again. This time, a woman walked in. It was Carol Lynn, the lead human diplomat from the peace talks. Behind her came Keelvor. "Staff Sergeant Morgan," Carol Lynn said. "You've caused quite a stir." Alex stood up again. "Ma'am, I didn't mean to cause problems." "Problems?" She smiled. "Or solutions? The peace talks have moved forward more in one day than in the previous year. Your story changed things." Keelvor stepped forward. "After you left, more truth came out. Both sides admitted to hiding stories of cooperation and help between our peoples. Both sides admitted to making the other look worse than they are." "Why?" Alex asked. "Why make us hate each other more?" Carol Lynn's face turned serious. "Resources, control, power, the usual reasons for war." She sat down and motioned for Alex to sit too. "But there's more to it. We've discovered that a third party has been working to keep our species fighting." "A third party?" Alex was confused. Keelvor nodded. "The Thalosian Confederacy. They sell weapons to both sides. They gain mining rights when our worlds are too busy fighting to protect them. They benefit from our conflict. And they have agents in both our governments." Carol Lynn added, "People paid to keep the hatred strong, to hide stories like yours." Alex tried to take this in. The idea that someone else had been pushing humans and Dravians to fight was hard to believe. "After your speech," Keelvor said, "one of our diplomats admitted he had been paid by Thalosians to block certain peace efforts. Then one of yours did the same." "The whole thing started to unravel," Carol Lynn said. 10 years of war, partly engineered by outsiders who profit from it. Alex thought about all his friends who had died, all for a war that might have been avoided. What happens now? He asked. Now, Carol Lynn said, we need your help again. She explained that both human and Dravian leaders had agreed to form a joint investigation team. They would find all the Thalosian agents in their governments. They would uncover the full truth about who had pushed for war and who had worked to prevent peace. And they want you on this team, she said. Alex was shocked. Me? I'm just a soldier. You're the soldier who saved Dravian children, Keelvor said. The soldier who helped start the peace process. You are trusted by both sides now. It seemed impossible. Just days ago, he had been fighting Dravians on a distant planet. Now he was being asked to work with them. What about my commanders? My current assignment? Carol Lynn smiled. That's been taken care of. You're being reassigned to the Joint Species Cooperation Force effective immediately. She handed him a new ID card. It had both human and Dravian writing on it. This is happening very fast, Alex said. Peace can happen quickly once people decide they want it, Carol Lynn replied. War is the same. As they talked, Alex's personal communication device beeped. He had a message. It was from his old squad, the soldiers who had helped him save the children on Neos Prime. The message was simple. We saw you on the news. Good job, Morgan. Maybe those kids were worth the trouble after all. Alex smiled. His friends understood, even if they joked about it. Keelvor watched him. You have a decision to make, human. Will you help us build this new peace, or return to your old life? It was a big question. Alex wasn't a diplomat or a politician. He was a soldier who had been trained to fight Dravians, not work with them. But then he remembered the feeling of carrying those scared children to safety, both human and Dravian. In that moment, there had been no difference between them, just children who needed help. I'll do it, he said. I'll help. Keelvor made a sound that Alex now recognized as a Dravian expression of joy. Good. We start tomorrow. There is much to do. As they prepared to leave, Carol Lynn handed Alex one more thing. A small box. This came for you, she said. From Neos Prime. Inside the box was a drawing. Simple, like a child might make. It showed a tall human figure carrying two smaller Dravian figures. At the bottom were words in both human and Dravian language. Thank you for saving us. It was signed by all 11 Dravian children Alex and his team had rescued. Alex stared at the drawing. This was why he had become a soldier in the first place, to protect others. Somewhere along the way, in the heat of war, it had become about fighting, about enemies. He had forgotten the real purpose. I'll need to learn more about Dravians, he said. If we're going to work together. And I will learn more about humans, Keelvor replied. Starting with you, my friend. Friend. The word sounded strange coming from a Dravian. But maybe that was the point. Maybe all of this, the note, the meeting on the ship, the peace talks, maybe it was all leading to something new. As Alex left the room with his new allies, he felt different. Not just a soldier anymore, not just a human. Something more. Perhaps a bridge between two worlds that had forgotten they could be friends. 1 year had passed since the day Alex Morgan had tried to sit in seat 34C. 1 year since a Dravian diplomat had read a note that changed everything. Alex stood on the bridge of a new ship called Unity Hope. It was the first vessel built together by humans and Dravians. Half the crew was human, half was Dravian. Alex wore a new uniform, blue and silver instead of the green of Earth's military. On his shoulder was the symbol of the Joint Species Cooperation Force, a circle with 3 lines crossing it, the same symbol that had been on the note. Captain Morgan, we're ready to launch, said his second-in-command, a Dravian named Trelvin. Alex nodded. It was still strange to be called captain. His promotion had come quickly after the peace talks. Too quickly, some thought. But both human and Dravian leaders had insisted. They wanted the hero of Neos Prime to lead this mission. Send the message to both Earth Command and the Dravian High Council, Alex said. Tell them we're leaving orbit. The Unity Hope was not a warship. It was a rescue vessel, designed to help civilians caught in dangerous situations. Its mission was to go to planets where Thalosian agents had caused problems between humans and Dravians, and to show both species working together to help. It was not an easy job. Many humans still hated Dravians. Many Dravians still feared humans. The Thalosians had done their work well, spreading lies and starting fights for 10 years. Alex walked around the bridge, checking that everything was ready. He stopped at the communication station, where a young human woman sat. "Any word from Earth about our request?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes, Captain. They've agreed. The children will be allowed to visit both planets." Alex smiled. This was good news. The children from Neos Prime, both human and Dravian, would travel to Earth and Dravis as special guests. They would show both worlds that the youngest victims of war could be friends, even after all that had happened. His communicator beeped. It was a message from an old friend, Keelvor. "Alex Morgan." The Dravian's voice came through. "Are you ready for your first real mission as captain?" Alex tapped the device. "As ready as I'll ever be. How are things at the Peace Council?" "Slow," Keelvor admitted, "but moving forward. The Thalosian agents we caught have given us much information. We now know they were working to keep our peoples fighting for at least 20 more years." "All those lives lost," Alex said quietly. "All because someone else wanted power." "Yes, but you helped stop it." Alex didn't feel like a hero. He had just done what seemed right at the time. Saving those children. Showing that note to Keelvor on the transport ship. Small things that had led to big changes. "Has Salen received my message?" Alex asked. "Yes," Keelvor sounded happy. "My child was very excited to hear from the human with kind eyes. Salen will be one of the children visiting Earth next month." The thought made Alex smile. He had not seen Salen since that day on Neos Prime, carrying the injured child from the burning building. "We're launching soon," Alex said. "Wish us luck." "You don't need luck," Keelvor replied. "You have something better. You have trust." After the call ended, Alex moved to the front of the bridge. Through the large window, he could see Earth below and the stars beyond. Somewhere out there was Dravis, the homeworld of his former enemies, now his allies, and somewhere else was Thalos, the world whose leaders had tried to keep humans and Dravians fighting forever. "Captain," Trelvin said, interrupting his thoughts, "there's something you should see." The Dravian officer led Alex to a small room just off the bridge. Inside were gifts from well-wishers, those who supported the new peace. Most were from officials and diplomats, but one package was different. It was marked "From the Children of Echo Station School." Inside were hundreds of small paper notes. Each had the same symbol, a circle with 3 lines, and messages written by children, some in human language, some in Dravian script, all saying thanks to the crew of Unity Hope for working to keep the peace. "They asked that we keep these with us," Trelvin said, "to remind us why we're doing this." Alex picked up one of the notes. It reminded him of the note he had shown Keelvor that day on the transport ship. Such a small thing, just a piece of paper with a symbol, but it had started everything. "Put them in the crew area," he said, "where everyone can see them." The launch countdown began. The Unity Hope prepared to leave Earth's orbit. Its mission would take it to worlds where fighting still happened, where some still believed the lies that humans and Dravians could never work together. Alex returned to his captain's chair. Around him, humans and Dravians worked side by side. A year ago, this would have seemed impossible. His hand went to his pocket where he still kept the original note. The paper was worn now from being carried so long, but the symbol was still clear. "Ready for launch, Captain," said the human pilot. "All systems check complete," added the Dravian engineer. Alex looked at his mixed crew. They watched him, waiting for his order. He saw no hatred in their eyes, no fear, just purpose, just hope. "Launch," he said. The Unity Hope moved away from Earth, gaining speed. Its engines glowed blue against the blackness of space. It was the first of what would be many joint ships, a symbol itself of what could happen when old enemies decided to become new allies. As the ship entered faster than light speed, Alex thought about how much had changed because of one simple act. He had saved some children because it was the right thing to do. He had shown a note to a Dravian who blocked his seat because it seemed important. Small things, small choices. But they had changed the future for two entire species. The stars stretched into lines of light as the ship jumped to faster than light speed. Alex Morgan, once just a tired soldier looking for a place to sit, now led a mission of hope. The war that had seemed endless was over. The hatred that had seemed permanent was fading, all because of a note that changed everything. In the captain's quarters later that night, Alex wrote in his personal log, "Day 1 of our mission. The crew works well together. I still find it strange sometimes, seeing humans and Dravians side by side without fighting. But the children understand it better than we do. To them, it makes perfect sense that we should be friends." He paused, thinking about how to end his first entry as captain. Finally, he wrote, "My old commander used to say that soldiers follow orders while leaders make choices. 1 year ago, I made a choice to save children who were supposed to be my enemies. I didn't know then that it would lead here. I just knew it was right. Maybe that's all we ever need to know." Alex closed his log and looked out at the stars rushing past his window. Somewhere out there were more worlds, more people who needed to learn that enemies could become allies. That hate could become friendship. The Unity Hope continued its journey into the darkness, carrying its message of hope. And in the captain's pocket, a worn note with a simple symbol reminded him of how it all began. One seat, one note, one chance meeting that changed the universe.